The elevator doors hadn't even closed before Julian's hand found my jaw. "You're trembling." His voice was low, dark honey laced with smoke. His thumb traced the pulse hammering in my throat like he was counting each desperate beat. "From fear or anticipation, Wren?" I couldn't answer, couldn't breathe. The mirrored walls reflected us from every angle. Julian Vane in his black suit, a predator in expensive wool, and me trapped between his body and the cold metal wall, my reflection showing exactly what I'd become. Addicted. "Both," I finally whispered. His lips curved into something too dangerous to be called a smile. The elevator climbed toward his penthouse, toward the place where this hunger started, where I'd walked in broken and walked out branded. "Julian." "Say it." His grip tightened, tilting my face up until our eyes locked, steel gray against my own dark brown, a collision I felt in my bones. "Say what you came here for." My heart was a war drum. My skin burned everywhere he touched and ached everywhere he didn't. Outside this elevator, I had a husband, a life, a reputation to protect. But inside I only had this, the gravitational pull of Julian Vane, the man who'd become my addiction, my ruin, my salvation. "I need you," I breathed, hating how desperate I sounded, hating more how true it was. "I know." His thumb brushed across my bottom lip, a promise and a threat. "You've needed me since the moment you showed up at my door in the rain. The only difference is now you're finally admitting it." The elevator chimed. The doors slid open to his domain. "Welcome home," Julian whispered against my mouth. Not quite a kiss, just the ghost of one, the cruelest kind of torture. "Let me show you exactly what you've been craving." And God help me, I followed him inside. Again. Chapter 1. 3 weeks earlier. The rain was biblical, the kind that felt like the sky was trying to wash away sins it couldn't forgive. I sat in my car outside Julian Vane's building, hands white-knuckled on the steering wheel, clothes still damp from running out of my own house, my own bed, where I'd found Ethan, my husband of 5 years, with someone else tangled in our sheets. I should have been crying, should have been calling lawyers or smashing things or doing whatever scorned spouses did in moments like these. Instead, I was here, at the address I swore I'd never use, staring up at the top floor of the obsidian tower that housed my husband's greatest enemy. Julian Vane, tech mogul, corporate raider, the man who'd been trying to destroy Ethan's company for 3 years, the man whose eyes had tracked me across every charity gala, every industry mixer, every forced social engagement where our paths crossed, watching me like I was something he intended to acquire. My phone buzzed. Ethan's name flashed across the screen. I turned it off. Then I got out of the car. The lobby was all marble and chrome, designed to intimidate. A security guard started to approach, but I was already at the private elevator, pressing the penthouse button before I could lose my nerve. "Sir, you need authorization to—" The elevator doors opened, as if they'd been waiting for me. I stepped inside before rational thought could stop me. The ascent felt endless. My reflection stared back from the polished walls, hair plastered to my forehead, shirt clinging to my frame, eyes too bright with something that might be madness. I looked like exactly what I was, a man who'd been shattered and now holding all the sharp pieces, ready to cut anyone who came close. The elevator opened directly into the penthouse. He was waiting. Julian stood at the floor-to-ceiling windows, silhouetted against the city lights, a glass of whiskey in his hand. He didn't turn around, didn't seem surprised, as if he knew I would come. Ren Nakamura. My name sounded different in his voice, possessive. "You're 1 in the morning, you're soaking wet, and unless I'm very mistaken, you just walked out on your husband." He knew. Of course he knew. Julian Vane knew everything. "I have a proposition," I said, pleased that my voice didn't shake. Now he turned. The sight of him stole what little breath I had left. Julian was beautiful in the way natural disasters were beautiful, devastating and impossible to look away from. Sharp jaw, steel gray eyes, dark hair that probably cost more to maintain than my car payment. He wore black slacks and a white shirt with the sleeves rolled up, revealing forearms that had no business being as distracting as they were. "I'm listening." He took a slow sip of whiskey, his gaze raking over me with an intensity that felt physical. "You want to destroy Ethan." It wasn't a question. "I want to own him," Julian corrected, his voice smooth as silk over steel. "There's a difference." "Then here's your chance." I took a step forward, water dripping on his pristine floor. "The ultimate humiliation. Take me, his husband. Let him know that while he was fucking someone else in our bed, I was here with you." The silence stretched like a wire pulled taut. Then Julian moved. He crossed the space between us in 3 strides, and suddenly he was there, close enough that I could smell his cologne, cedar and something darker, could feel the heat radiating from his body, could see the dangerous glint in his eyes. "Do you have any idea what you're offering me?" His voice was barely above a whisper, but it resonated through every nerve in my body. "Revenge," I said. "No." His hand came up, fingers curling around my jaw with just enough pressure to make my breath catch. "You're offering me you, and once I take you, Ren, once you walk through this door and into my world, there's no going back. You won't belong to him anymore." He tilted my face up, his thumb brushing across my cheekbone with devastating gentleness. "You'll belong to me." My heart was a hummingbird trapped in my chest. Every instinct screamed at me to run, to leave, to go back to the safe, predictable life I knew. But safe and predictable had ended the moment I saw Ethan with someone else. And Julian? Julian was a cliff edge in the dark, and I was so tired of solid ground. "Then take me," I whispered. Something ignited in his eyes, something primal and possessive that should have terrified me. Instead, it made me feel alive for the first time in years. "Once more," Julian said, his grip tightening fractionally. "Say it once more, so I know you understand. After tonight, you're mine, not his, not anyone else's, mine." The word should have felt like a cage. It felt like freedom. "I'm yours." Julian's smile was wolfish. "Good boy." Then he kissed me. It wasn't gentle, wasn't tentative or exploratory or any of the things first kisses were supposed to be. It was claiming. It was devastating. It was Julian Vane pouring 5 years of wanting into a single point of contact that rewired every circuit in my brain. His hand fisted in my wet hair, his other arm banded around my waist, pulling me flush against him until there was no space left between us. I could feel the hard lines of his body, the controlled strength in the way he held me, the way he angled my head exactly how he wanted it. I'd been kissed before. I'd been married for 5 years, but I'd never been consumed. Julian kissed like he did business, with absolute confidence and zero mercy. He took my mouth like he owned it, like he'd been waiting his entire life for permission to do this, and now that he had it, he was going to make sure I never forgot the feeling. When he finally pulled back, I was gasping. "Bedroom," he commanded, his voice rough with want. "Now." I should have hesitated, should have questioned, should have done literally anything other than follow him down the hallway like a man under a spell. But I was done pretending I had any control left. Julian Vane had just become my addiction, and I was going to let him ruin me. Chapter 2. I woke to unfamiliar sheets, silk, black, expensive enough that even breathing on them probably cost money. The ceiling above me was all dark wood and recessed lighting, and for one blissful moment I didn't remember where I was. Then I moved. Every muscle ached in ways that made memory come flooding back in devastating detail. Julian's penthouse, Julian's bed, Julian's hands, Julian's mouth, Julian's body claiming mine with a thoroughness that rewritten my understanding of intimacy. Oh, God! I sat up too fast, head spinning. The other side of the bed was empty, but still warm. Morning light filtered through floor-to-ceiling windows, turning the city below into a glittering sprawl. My clothes, dried now, were folded on a chair that probably cost more than my monthly salary. I needed to leave, needed to get out before Julian woke up and I had to face what I'd done, what we'd done, what I'd begged him to do. I dressed in record time, fingers fumbling with buttons as my brain screamed at me to move faster. This had been a mistake, a beautiful, devastating, world-ending mistake, but still a mistake. I'd used Julian for revenge, and he used me for leverage against Ethan. And now in the cold light of day, I needed to... Going somewhere? I froze. Julian leaned against the doorframe, perfectly put together in dark slacks and a crisp white shirt, coffee cup in hand. He looked like sin poured into a suit, and the knowing smirk on his face said he was fully aware of the effect he had. I should go, I managed. Last night we both got what we wanted, revenge, so... Did we? He pushed off the doorframe, setting his coffee down with deliberate care. Because I distinctly remember you screaming my name at 3 a.m., and revenge doesn't usually sound quite that desperate. Heat flooded my face. Julian, your car's blocked in. He said it casually, like he was commenting on the weather. My driver parked behind you, won't be back in another hour. My stomach dropped. You blocked me in? I did. He moved closer, and I hated how my body responded, pulse quickening, breath shortening, every nerve ending suddenly hyper-aware. And I sent your husband a photo. The floor tilted. What? Julian pulled out his phone, turned the screen toward me. The photo was artful in its cruelty. My jacket hanging in his hallway, my shoes by his door, the timestamp clearly showing 1:47 a.m. No faces, no explicit proof, just enough to let Ethan know exactly where I'd been, and with whom. Why? The word came out strangled. Because you're mine now. Julian pocketed his phone, closing the distance between us until I had to tilt my head back to maintain eye contact. And I don't share. Ethan needed to know that what he threw away, I claimed, completely. I'm not a possession. His hand cupped my jaw, thumb pressing against my racing pulse. No, you're something much more valuable. You're the one thing I've wanted that money couldn't buy. And now that I have you, his eyes burned into mine, I'm not letting you run away before we've even started. Started what? This. He gestured between us, that dangerous smile playing at his lips. You and me. The addiction you felt last night, Ren, that wasn't one-time chemistry. That was the beginning. My mouth went dry. You're insane. Perhaps. His thumb traced my bottom lip with maddening gentleness. But you're the one who came to me. You're the one who offered yourself up. You're the one who whispered my name like a prayer while I... Stop! Why? His voice dropped to that dark honey tone that made my knees weak. Afraid you'll want it again? Afraid you already do? He was right. God help me, he was right. Even now, with my entire life imploding, with Ethan probably seeing that photo, with everything I'd built crumbling, I wanted Julian's hands on me, wanted his mouth, wanted the feeling of being completely, utterly consumed by someone who looked at me like I was the only thing in the world that mattered. This is insane, I whispered. Yes, Julian leaned in, his lips brushing my ear, and you love it. I felt how you came alive under my touch, how you stopped thinking and started feeling, how you let me take you apart and put you back together. His breath was warm against my skin. Tell me you didn't feel it. Tell me last night was just revenge, and I'll let you walk out that door right now. I should have lied, should have said exactly that. Instead, I felt it. Julian's sharp intake of breath mirrored my own. Then stay. His hand slid into my hair, tilting my face up. Have breakfast with me. Let me prove that last night wasn't a fluke. And then we see how deep this addiction goes. I knew I should say no, knew this was dangerous, more dangerous than anything I'd ever done. Julian Vane wasn't a safe rebellion. He was a forest fire, and I was already burning. But when he looked at me like that, like I was treasure and prey and oxygen all at once, I couldn't remember why I'd ever wanted safe. Breakfast, I heard myself say, and then I leave. Julian's smile was pure victory. Of course, whatever you need to tell yourself, darling. He was already walking toward the kitchen, confident I would follow. And goddammit, I did, because he was right about one thing. Last night hadn't been a fluke. It had been the first hit of something I was already craving more of. Julian Vane had become my drug of choice, and I was terrified to realize I didn't want to quit. Chapter 3. The gala was a glittering nightmare. 2 weeks had passed since that morning in Julian's penthouse. 2 weeks of Ethan begging for forgiveness, swearing it was a mistake, promising he'd change. 2 weeks of me sleeping in the guest room, unable to bear his touch, unable to stop thinking about hands that weren't his. And now this, the annual Tech Innovators Gala, where I had to stand beside my husband and pretend our marriage was a corpse we were both refusing to bury. "You look beautiful," Ethan whispered, his hand at the small of my back feeling like a brand I wanted to scrub off. I wore a tailored black suit, silver accents catching the light. Ethan had picked it out, trying to buy back my affection with designer labels and hollow compliments. I let him because what else was I supposed to do? I couldn't leave, couldn't file for divorce without admitting where I'd been that night. Couldn't admit I'd been back to Julian's penthouse 4 times since. "Smile," Ethan murmured as we entered the ballroom. They always were. Ethan Nakamura and his perfect husband, the golden couple of the tech world. Never mind that the gold was tarnished. Never mind that I flinched every time he touched me. Never mind that I was scanning the crowd for someone else entirely. And then I found him. Julian stood across the room in a black tuxedo that looked like it had been designed specifically to destroy rational thought. He was talking to some board member, champagne in hand, the picture of casual elegance. Then his eyes found mine. The air left my lungs. Even from across a crowded ballroom, Julian's gaze was a physical thing. It stripped away the pretense, the suit, the careful mask I wore. It saw straight through to the truth. I was his, had been since that first night, would be until he decided otherwise. "I need a drink," I told Ethan, pulling away before he could respond. I made it 3 steps before a hand caught my elbow. "Running away already?" Julian's voice was low, meant only for me. The night just started. I should have pulled away, should have remembered we were in public, that Ethan was 20 feet away, that people had cameras. Instead, I let Julian guide me toward the balcony doors. "What are you doing?" I hissed. "Saving you from committing murder." His hand pressed against my lower back, proprietary and possessive. "I'm tired of watching him touch what's mine." "I'm not—" "Yes, you are." His hand came up, fingers ghosting along my jaw with devastating gentleness. "You're mine since the moment you walked into my home, since you let me taste you, claim you, ruin you for anyone else." My breath came too fast. "Julian, tell me you haven't thought about it." His thumb brushed my bottom lip. "Tell me you haven't laid awake remembering how I made you feel, how you sounded when I— Stop! Why?" He leaned in, his lips a whisper away from mine. "Afraid someone will hear? Afraid your husband will see how badly you want me to kiss you right now?" I was. God, I was terrified, and aching for it anyway. "He's inside," I whispered, hating how breathless I sounded. "I know." Julian's other hand settled on my hip, thumb stroking through the fabric in a way that made heat pool low in my stomach. Do you know how many times I've watched him touch you tonight? His hand on your back, his arm around your waist, marking territory he has no right to anymore. We're still married. Legally, his grip tightened fractionally. But you stopped being his the moment you chose me, the moment you came back, again and again. His breath ghosted over my lips. Tell me you don't want this. I couldn't, because I did want it. Wanted his mouth on mine, wanted his hands mapping my body, wanted the feeling of being the absolute center of someone's universe. Wanted to stop pretending I could quit him. Someone will see, I tried weakly. Then let them see. Julian's smile was wicked. Let them see me touching you. Let them wonder. Let your husband see and know exactly who you belong to now. His hand slid into my hair, tilting my head back. Last chance, Ren. Tell me to stop, and I will. Tell me you don't want this, don't want me, and I'll walk away right now. It was a lie. We both knew it was a lie. Julian Vane didn't walk away from anything he wanted, and he wanted me with an intensity that should have been terrifying. Instead, it made me feel powerful. I hate you, I whispered. His smile widened. No, you don't. You hate how much you need me. There's a difference. Then he kissed me. Not soft, not gentle, not anything that could be mistaken for anything other than claiming. His mouth moved over mine with devastating certainty, tongue sliding against mine in a rhythm that made my knees weak. His hand fisted in my hair, angling my head exactly how he wanted it, while his other hand pulled me flush against him. I could feel every hard line of his body, could taste champagne on his tongue, could hear the soft sound he made, possessive and satisfied, like this was exactly what he'd been waiting for all night. When he finally pulled back, I was gasping. That, Julian murmured against my lips, is how you should be kissed. Not the tepid, obligatory pecks he gives you, but like your oxygen, and I'm drowning. Julian! Ethan's voice cut through the night air. There you are! I jerked back, but Julian didn't move, didn't release me. Instead, his hand slid from my hair to rest possessively on my waist as he turned to face my husband. Ethan, Julian said pleasantly, wonderful party. Ethan's eyes bounced between us, jaw tight. I need to speak with my husband alone. Of course. Julian's hand squeezed my waist once before releasing me. But before he stepped away, he leaned in close enough that only I could hear. Later, when you can't sleep because you're aching for my touch, call me. Then he was gone, disappearing back into the ballroom like a phantom, leaving me alone with my husband and the knowledge that Julian was right. I would call. I always did. Because Julian Vane had become more than an addiction. He'd become a necessity, and I was done pretending otherwise. Chapter 4. The email arrived on a Monday morning, 3 days after the gala. Subject, new organizational structure, effective immediately. I stared at my computer screen, coffee growing cold in my hand as the words blurred and refocused. Vane Industries had acquired controlling interest in Nakamura Tech's outstanding debt. Effective immediately, all C-suite executives would report to a restructuring team led by Julian Vane himself, including me. My office phone rang. Julian's name flashed across the caller ID. Did you get my email? His voice was smooth as silk, but I could hear the satisfaction underneath. What did you do? Business, darling. Your husband made some very poor financial decisions. I simply capitalized on them. A pause. I expect you in my office by 10. Don't be late. Julian, I can't just... Rule 1, Ren. His voice dropped to that dark honey tone that made my stomach flip. Whenever I enter a room, you look at me and only me. I expect the same courtesy when I call you. This is insane. This is inevitable. You knew the moment you walked into my penthouse that I wouldn't let you go. Now I'm making sure of it. He He paused. 10 a.m., my office. Wear the gray suit. How do you know I have a gray suit? Because I bought it and had it delivered to your office 20 minutes ago, along with a few other things. His voice turned velvet dark. You'll find everything you need. The line went dead. I sat there for a full minute before my assistant knocked, wheeling in a garment bag and several boxes stamped with designer logos I couldn't afford. The suit was perfect. Charcoal gray, tailored to measurements Julian shouldn't have known but somehow did. A deep blue shirt that brought out my eyes. Accessories that probably cost more than my monthly salary. And a note written in Julian's sharp handwriting. You'll look beautiful in this while you pretend to hate me. Jay. I should have refused, should have worn my own clothes, asserted my independence, done literally anything other than put on the outfit Julian had chosen for me like I was a doll he was dressing. Instead, I found myself standing in front of the mirror at 9:45, looking at a version of myself that fit in Julian's world, looking like I belonged to him. Julian's office occupied the top floor of Vane Tower. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered a panoramic view of the city, and the space itself was all dark wood, chrome, and sharp edges, like the man himself. He stood with his back to the door, phone pressed to his ear, speaking in rapid-fire Mandarin. Even in a different language, his voice carried that edge of absolute authority. He knew I was there, didn't acknowledge me, just kept talking, kept me waiting, kept me standing in his domain like a supplicant awaiting an audience. Power move. Classic Julian Vane. Finally, he ended the call and turned. The look in his eyes when he saw me made my breath catch. Perfect, he murmured, crossing the space between us with predatory grace. I knew that color would look devastating on you. You can't just buy me clothes. I can buy you anything I want. He circled me slowly, and I felt the weight of his gaze like a physical touch. The question is whether you'll accept it, whether you'll admit that you like being taken care of, being claimed. I'm not. You are. He stopped in front of me, close enough that I could smell his cologne. You're wearing what I chose. You're in my office. You're exactly where I want you. His hand came up, adjusting my tie with deliberate care. And if your racing pulse is any indication, you want to be here too. I did. God help me, I did. Why? I asked. Why buy my husband's debt? Why go through all this trouble? Julian's smile was sharp. Because watching him touch you at that gala made me want to burn the world down. Because you're mine, and I'm tired of sharing. Because I want you here where I can see you, touch you, remind you every single day who you belong to. His fingers trailed from my tie to my jaw. And because, Ren Nakamura, I don't do anything halfway. If I want something, I take it completely. I want you to stop pretending you can resist this. Stop pretending you don't crave my touch the way I crave yours. Julian? But first, he pulled back, releasing me with visible effort. You're going to work. Your desk is through there. He gestured to a door I hadn't noticed. You'll be handling the restructuring reports. When you have questions, you come to me. When you need clarification, you come to me. When you need anything at all, I come to you, I finished, seeing the trap. Fast learner. His smile was pure satisfaction. Oh, and Ren, Rule 1 starts now. I found my desk in an office that connected directly to Julian's, a glass wall between us that was probably meant to be professional but felt voyeuristic. I could see him working, see the way he moved through his space with absolute confidence, see the way he would glance up and catch me watching. Every single time. It was psychological warfare, and I was losing. By noon, I'd caught myself staring at him 17 times. By 2 p.m., I'd stopped counting. By 4, when he called me into his office to review a report that didn't need reviewing, I was vibrating with tension. "You're distracted," Julian observed, not looking up from his computer. "I'm fine." "Liar." Now he did look up, and the heat in his eyes made my mouth go dry. "Come here." "Julian?" That wasn't a request. I should have refused, should have maintained boundaries, should have done literally anything other than cross his office and stand in front of his desk like an obedient pet. But I did it anyway, because when Julian used that voice, my body obeyed before my brain could catch up. "Sit, Ren, or leave. But if you leave, don't come back to my office today. Don't call me tonight when you're aching for this. Make your choice." It wasn't a choice. Not really. I sat on the edge of his desk. Julian's smile was slow, satisfied, devastating. Good boy. Then he went back to work, just went back to typing, reading, making calls, like I wasn't sitting 3 feet away from him, slowly losing my mind. Minutes crawled by. 5, 10, 15. He didn't touch me, didn't speak to me, didn't do anything except work with me perched on his desk like a decoration. And somehow that was more intimate than anything we'd done before. Because I could feel his awareness of me, could sense the control it took for him to not touch, could see the tension in his shoulders, the way his jaw ticked when I shifted, the way his eyes would flicker to me and then away. This was the wait. The anticipation, the slow burn that made every eventual touch feel like lightning. "Julian," I finally whispered, unable to take it anymore. "Yes?" He didn't look up. "What are you doing?" "Teaching you patience." Now he did look up, and the hunger in his eyes made me shiver. "Teaching you that anticipation makes everything sweeter, that waiting for my touch is half the pleasure." "I hate you." "No, you don't." He stood, moving around the desk until he was standing between my legs, not touching, just there. "You hate how much you want this, how much you're already addicted to the way I make you feel." His hand came up, hovering a breath away from my face. "Do you want me to touch you, Ren?" "Yes," I breathed, past pretending otherwise. "Then ask nicely." "Please." "Please what?" "Please touch me." His smile was victorious. "See, that wasn't so hard." Then his hand cupped my jaw, thumb stroking my cheekbone, and every nerve ending I possessed lit up like a firework. Such a simple touch, but after 30 minutes of waiting, of aching, of wanting, it felt like everything. "This is what I want," Julian murmured, his other hand settling on my hip. "You in my space, waiting for my attention, wanting it, craving it so much that a simple touch makes you look like I just gave you the world." "You're insane," I whispered. "And you're addicted." He leaned in, his lips brushing my ear. "Admit it. Admit that you think about this all day, about me, about the way I make you feel." "Admit it, and I'll give you what you really want." God, I wanted to resist, wanted to maintain some shred of dignity, some pretense that I was in control. But Julian's hand was in my hair now, and his body was pressed against mine, and I could feel how much he wanted this too, how the control he exercised was a razor's edge he walked for both of us. "I think about you," I admitted, "all the time. I can't stop." Julian's sharp intake of breath mirrored my own. Again. "I'm addicted to you, to this, to the way you make me feel like I'm the only thing that matters." "You are." He pulled back just enough to look in my eyes. "You're the only thing that's mattered in years." Then he kissed me. Not the claiming kiss from the gala, not the devastating possession of that first night. This was something different, slower, deeper, like he was memorizing the taste of me, like he had all the time in the world and intended to use every second. His hands mapped my body through the suit he'd bought me, possessive and reverent all at once, and I let him. let myself sink into the feeling of being wanted this much, of being the absolute center of someone's universe. When he finally pulled back, we were both breathing hard. "Go home," Julian said, rough-voiced, "before I do something that will scandalize my entire office." "Julian!" "Tonight. Come to my place tonight, not because you're angry at your husband or because you want revenge, but because you want me." His hand cupped my face. "Can you do that?" I should have said no, should have drawn a line, established boundaries, protected what was left of my heart. Instead, yes. Good. He helped me off the desk, steadied me when my legs weren't quite ready to support my weight. I made it to the door before he called my name. "Ren?" I turned. Julian stood behind his desk, looking every inch the powerful CEO, except for his eyes. His eyes burned with want. "Rule 1, he said softly. "When I enter a room, you look at me and only me, because when you look at me like that, like you're my gravity, it's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen." I fled before I could do something stupid, like admit I felt the exact same way about him. Chapter 5. I went home first. Ethan was waiting in the living room, whiskey in hand, looking at me like a puzzle he couldn't solve. "You're wearing a new suit," he observed. "Work thing." "Right, work." He took a long drink. "With Julian Vane, your new boss, the man you fucked 3 weeks ago." The silence that followed was deafening. "I don't know what you—" "Don't." Ethan stood, crossing to me with the careful movements of someone barely holding on to control. "I know, Ren. The photo, the way you look at him, the way you flinch when I touch you now." His voice cracked. "I know I drove you to it. I know I destroyed us. But please just tell me the truth." I could have lied, should have lied, but I was so tired of pretending. "Yes," I said simply. "Yes, I slept with Julian multiple times, and I'm going to do it again tonight." Ethan flinched like I'd struck him. "Do you love him?" Did I? Love seemed too simple a word for what Julian made me feel. Addiction, obsession, the sense that I'd been sleepwalking through life until he'd shocked me awake. "I don't know," I admitted, "but I know I can't stop." "Can't or won't. Does it matter?" I met his eyes. "You broke us, Ethan. You broke me, and I found someone who made me feel whole again, who looks at me like I'm precious, who touches me like he's been waiting his entire life for permission. You're using you to get to me. Maybe, probably. I don't care. And that's the terrifying truth, because even if I'm just a weapon he's wielding against you, at least I'm something to him. At least he sees me. I see you. No, you don't. You see the perfect husband, the arm candy for your galas, the stable, supportive partner who doesn't make demands." I shook my head. "But Julian, he sees the parts of me you never bothered to look for, the parts that want to be consumed, claimed, completely and utterly possessed." Ethan was quiet for a long moment. "Are you leaving me?" "I don't know," I said, honestly. "Right now I'm just trying to survive the feeling of being torn in two, of wanting to hate Julian for what he's doing but being unable to stay away, of knowing this is dangerous but not caring enough to stop. And me? Where do I fit in this?" I looked at my husband. 5 years of history, of shared dreams, of a life we'd built together, and felt nothing but the ghost of what used to be. "I don't know that either." Then I walked out, straight to Julian's penthouse. He answered the door in black slacks and a white shirt, sleeves rolled up, looking like every fantasy I'd ever had. "You came," he said, something like relief in his voice. "You knew I would." Hoped, not the same as knowing. He stepped aside, letting me in. "Drink?" "No." I turned to face him. "I told Ethan. About us." Julian went very still. "And?" And now he knows. Now it's real. Now I can't pretend this is just revenge or a mistake or temporary insanity. I moved closer. So I need you to tell me the truth. Am I just a weapon to you? Just a way to hurt him? For a long moment, Julian said nothing. Then he crossed to me, hands cupping my face with devastating gentleness. Ren Nakamura, you are the most exquisite thing I have ever wanted to own. And yes, part of me loves that taking you destroys him. Part of me thrills at the revenge of it. His thumb stroked my cheekbones. But you were never just a weapon. You were the prize I didn't know I was fighting for. How do I know you're not lying? You don't. His smile was sharp. You'll never know for certain. That's the thrill of it, isn't it? The danger, the uncertainty, the feeling that this could destroy you, but you want it anyway. She was right. God, he was right. What do you want from me tonight? I asked. Julian's eyes darkened. Everything. But tonight specifically, I want to show you what it feels like to surrender completely, to trust me with your pleasure, your need, your absolute vulnerability. My heart was a war drum. I'm scared. Good. He kissed my forehead with shocking tenderness. Fear means you understand how much power you're giving me. And Ren, he leaned back to look in my eyes. I promise to worship every inch of that trust. What happened next wasn't rough or rushed. It was slow devastation. Julian took me to his bedroom, all dark silk and city lights, and proceeded to absolutely dismantle every defense I had left. He undressed me like I was art, each button, each piece of fabric removed with reverent care and burning attention. His hands mapped my skin like he was memorizing geography, and everywhere he touched became sensitized, hyper-aware. Beautiful, he murmured, pressing kisses to my shoulder, my collarbone, the hollow of my throat. Do you have any idea how many times I've imagined this, having you here, completely mine, with nothing between us? I couldn't speak, could only feel the heat of his mouth, the skill of his hands, the way he played my body like an instrument he'd been practicing his entire life. He laid me on his bed, and the silk was cool against my overheated skin. Then he covered me with his body, and suddenly all I could feel was Julian, his weight, his warmth, the hard lines of muscle and the sharp edges of control, barely restrained. Look at me, he commanded. I did. Got lost in steel gray eyes that held nothing but hunger and possession, and something that looked dangerously close to devotion. I'm going to make you forget your own name, Julian promised, voice dark honey and sin. I'm going to touch you until the only word you remember is mine, until every nerve ending belongs to me, until you can't imagine existing without this. Julian! Shh! His hand covered my mouth gently. No talking. Just feel. Just surrender. Let me show you what it's like when someone truly sees you. Then he proceeded to do exactly that. His hands were everywhere, skilled, deliberate, knowing exactly where to touch to make me gasp, where to press to make me arch, where to linger to make me beg. And he took his time, drew it out until I was trembling, aching, completely at his mercy. Please, I finally whispered, past pride, past pretense. Please what? His breath was hot against my skin. Please, I need. I know what you need. His lips brushed mine. But I want to hear you say it. Want you to admit how much you want this. How much you want me. I want you. Only you. Always you. Julian's control shattered. What happened next was transcendent. Julian took me apart and put me back together, made good on every promise, touched me until I forgot everything except the feeling of being his. the silk sheets tangled around us, the city lights painted us in silver, and Julian whispered my name like a prayer against my skin. When it was over, we lay tangled together, breathing hard, hearts racing in sync. "Stay. Tonight, tomorrow, as long as you want," Julian said into the darkness. "What about Ethan?" "What about him?" He pulled me closer. "You're here, in my bed, where you belong. The rest is just details we'll figure out." I should have argued, should have maintained some independence. Instead, I let myself sink into his warmth and admitted the truth I'd been avoiding. I didn't want to figure it out. I just wanted to stay in this moment, in Julian's arms, where nothing else mattered, where I could pretend that addiction and love were the same thing, even though I was terrified they might not be. I woke to sunlight and the smell of coffee. Julian sat at the foot of the bed, already dressed for work, 2 mugs in hand. He looked unfairly perfect, hair still damp from a shower, white shirt crisp, eyes soft in a way I'd never seen them. "Morning," he said, handing me a mug. "Black, 2 sugars, the way you like it." I sat up, accepting the coffee, trying not to think about how Julian knew how I took my coffee when my own husband usually got it wrong. "What time is it?" 7. "We have an hour before I have to leave for a meeting." He set his mug down, eyes tracking over me with tangible heat. "How do you feel?" "Sore, satisfied, completely and utterly changed." "Like I'm in trouble," I admitted. Julian's smile was knowing, the best kind. He sobered. "Ren, we need to talk about—" My phone rang. Ethan's name flashed across the screen. Julian's expression shuddered. "You should answer that." I did. "Hello?" "Please come home." Ethan's voice was wrecked. "Please, Ren, we need to talk, really talk. I can fix this. I can fix us. Just please." I looked at Julian, at the man who'd spent the night showing me what it felt like to be worshipped, who looked at me like I was everything, and felt my heart crack down the middle. "I'll be there in an hour," I told Ethan. The call ended. "You're going back to him," Julian said flatly. "I'm going to talk to him. There's a difference." "Is there?" He stood, crossing to the window, back rigid. "Because from here, it looks like you're choosing him." "I'm not choosing anyone. I'm trying to figure out what the hell I'm doing." I got out of bed, pulling on the clothes scattered across the floor. "Julian, I've been married for 5 years. I can't just—" "Can't what? Choose yourself? Choose what makes you happy?" He turned, and the raw emotion in his eyes made my chest tight. "I'm not asking you to burn down your life, Ren. I'm asking you to be honest about what you want. What I want is destroying everything I've built. Maybe it needed to be destroyed." He crossed to me, hands finding my face. "Maybe what you built was a cage, and you're just now realizing you've been locked inside it." "Don't," I whispered. "Don't what? Tell you the truth? Make you face what we both know?" His thumb stroked my cheekbones. "You don't love him anymore, Ren. Maybe you never did. Not like this. Not with the kind of all-consuming need that makes you drive through a storm just to be near someone. You don't know what I feel. I know you're terrified. I know you're using your marriage as an excuse to not face how deep this goes." He leaned his forehead against mine. "And I know that if you walk out that door to go back to him, I'm going to let you, because I don't want you trapped here. I want you to choose me, freely." Tears burned my eyes. "I don't know how." "Then figure it out." His voice gentled. "Go talk to him. Get your answers. But Ren," he pulled back to look at me, "when he touches you, pay attention to what you feel. And if you feel nothing, if all you can think about is being here instead, then you'll know." I went home. Ethan was waiting, looking like he hadn't slept. The apartment felt different somehow, smaller, less like home and more like a museum of a life I used to live. "Thank you for coming," he said. I nodded, sitting across from him in our living room. Our marriage counselor would have been proud. Proper space, open body language, ready to communicate. Except we were 5 years too late. I know I can't undo what I did, Ethan started. I know sleeping with someone else destroyed your trust, but Ren, it was a mistake. A stupid, selfish mistake that I regret every second of every day. Okay. Okay? He looked at me, confused. What do you want me to say, Ethan? That I forgive you? That we can move past this? I leaned back. I can't, because the thing is, I don't think I want to. Because of Julian? Partially, but also because of me. I met his eyes. Do you know when you stopped really seeing me? When you stopped asking about my day or noticing when I changed my hair or remembering how I take my coffee? Ren, 3 years ago, 3 years, Ethan, 3 years of me slowly disappearing in our marriage and you didn't even notice. So when you cheated, it hurt, but it also felt like confirmation of what I already knew, that I'd become invisible to you. Ethan's face crumpled. You were never invisible. I was. I am. To you, I'm the perfect husband, the supportive partner, the appropriate arm candy. My voice didn't shake, didn't waver. But Julian sees me, the messy parts, the hungry parts, the parts that want to be consumed and claimed and completely possessed. He's using you. Maybe, but at least he's paying attention while he does it. I stood. I can't do this anymore, Ethan. I can't pretend we're going to be okay. I can't pretend I don't think about Julian every second I'm not with him. I can't pretend your touch doesn't make me feel like I'm betraying myself. So that's it? Ethan stood too, desperate now. 5 years and you're just done because some corporate shark made you feel special for 5 minutes? No, I'm done because you made me feel invisible for 3 years and I finally found someone who makes me feel seen. Ethan moved toward me, hands reaching. Let me try. Let me show you I can change, that I can be what you need. His hand touched my arm and I flinched, viscerally. Completely, like his touch burned. We both froze. I'm sorry, I whispered. I'm so sorry, but I can't. You're in love with him. It wasn't a question. Was I? I didn't know. Didn't know if what I felt for Julian was love or addiction or some toxic combination of both. But I knew one thing with absolute certainty. I can't be here, I said. I can't do this. I need space to think, to figure out what I want without both of you pulling at me. If you leave now, you're going straight to him. Probably, I grabbed my keys, but that's my choice to make. Ren, please. I didn't stay to hear the rest. I drove through the city, phone in hand. Julian's number pulled up. All I had to do was press call, tell him I'd left, tell him he was right, tell him I chose him. Instead, I drove to a hotel, checked in alone, and tried to figure out who I was when I wasn't being pulled between 2 different versions of myself. But at midnight, when I couldn't sleep, when every nerve ending ached for a touch I shouldn't crave, I called him. Julian answered on the first ring. Ren? He touched me, I whispered into the darkness, and all I could think about was you. How wrong it felt. How much I wanted it to be your hands instead. Where are you? I gave him the hotel address. I'm on my way. 20 minutes later, there was a knock on my door. Julian stood in the hallway, still in his work clothes, looking at me with an intensity that stole my breath. You left him, he said. I left both of you. I needed space to think. And you called me. He stepped inside, closing the door behind him. Why? Because I can't stop, can't quit you, can't exist in a space where you're not. I laughed, bitter and broken. You were right. I'm addicted, and I hate it. Hate how much I need this. Need you. Julian crossed to me, hands finding my face with devastating gentleness. Do you know what the difference is between addiction and love? What? Addiction is selfish. It's about what someone gives you, how they make you feel, what they can do for you. His thumbs stroked my cheekbones. Love is when you care about them just as much, when their happiness matters as much as your own. Why are you telling me this? Because I need you to know this isn't just addiction for me, Ren. This isn't just about winning or revenge or possessing something beautiful. His eyes held mine. I'm falling in love with you, the real you, the messy, complicated, beautifully broken you. My breath caught. Julian! You don't have to say it back. You don't have to feel the same way. I just needed you to know that when I touch you, when I claim you, when I tell you that you're mine, it's not a game. It's not strategy. He leaned his forehead against mine. It's the truth. I don't know what I feel, I admitted. All I know is that being near you feels like breathing, and being away from you feels like drowning. Then let me save you. His lips brushed mine. Let me show you what it's like to be loved the way you deserve. What if I can't give you what you need? Then we figure it out together. He pulled back, eyes serious. But Ren, I need you to make a choice. Not tonight, not right now, but soon. Because I can't keep sharing you, can't keep being the secret you run to when your marriage gets hard. What are you saying? I'm saying I want all of you, or none of you. I want to wake up with you every morning, want to come home to you every night, want everyone to know that you're mine and I'm yours. His hands tightened on my face. But I won't be the other man, won't be the addiction you're ashamed of. So you need to decide, do you want this to be real, or do you want to go back to Ethan and pretend this never happened? And if I choose you, then I'll give you everything. My name, my home, my heart, everything I am and everything I have. His smile was soft, and I'll spend every day proving that choosing me wasn't a mistake. And if I choose him, pain flashed across Julian's face. Then I'll let you go. I'll sell the debt, remove myself from your life, and try to forget what it felt like to have you in my arms. You would do that? I'd hate it. But yes, because I love you enough to want you to be happy, even if it's not with me. I looked at this man, this beautiful, complicated, dangerous man who'd upended my entire world, who made me feel alive and terrified and completely seen, and realized I'd already made my choice. I'd made it the moment I called him instead of going back to Ethan. Take me home, I whispered, to your home, to our home. Julian's eyes widened. Ren, I'm choosing you. I'm choosing us. I'm choosing to stop being afraid of how much I need this. I kissed him, soft and certain. Take me home, Julian, please. His smile was incandescent. Anything you want, darling. Anything at all. And as he led me out of that hotel room toward a future I couldn't predict but desperately wanted, I finally felt like I was exactly where I belonged. Chapter 7. Julian's home turned out to be a private cabin 3 hours outside the city. I bought it 2 years ago, he explained as we drove through darkness, his hand wrapped around mine like an anchor, when I needed somewhere to think, to escape the noise. You're taking me to your secret escape? I'm taking you somewhere we can exist without the world watching. His thumb stroked across my knuckles. Somewhere we can figure out what this is without Ethan or the media or anyone else interfering. The cabin was beautiful, all wood and glass, and stunning views of a lake that reflected starlight like scattered diamonds. Inside was warmth and comfort, a fire already crackling in the hearth. How? I called ahead, had someone prepare it. Julian pulled me inside, closing the door on the rest of the world. For the next 3 days, it's just us. No phones, no emails, no distractions. 3 days? I told your husband you quit, told my assistant I was unreachable. He turned to me, eyes burning with intensity. 3 days to stop playing games, to figure out if this is real or if we're just two people using each other to fill voids we're too scared to face. My heart raced. And if it's not real? Then we'll know, and we'll deal with it. He moved closer, backing me against the door. But Ren, I think it is real. I think you're terrified of how real it is. And I think that's why you keep running, because staying means facing how much you want this. You're awfully confident. I'm awfully in love. His hand cupped my jaw, and I'm done pretending otherwise. Before I could respond, he kissed me. Not claiming, not possessing, just kissing me like I was precious, like I was something to be cherished rather than conquered. It broke something in me. I kissed him back with everything I had, all the fear, all the want, all the desperate need I'd been trying to suppress, my hands fisted in his shirt, pulling him closer, deeper, until there was nothing between us but truth. When we finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Julian rested his forehead against mine. "Stay with me," he whispered. "Not because you're running from him, not because I make you forget, but because you want to build something here, with me." "I'm scared." "I know, me too." He pulled back to look at me. "But I'd rather be scared with you than safe with anyone else." The 3 days passed like a fever dream. We talked, really talked, about everything and nothing. About Julian's childhood as the son of 2 corporate titans who valued success over affection. About my parents who loved me but never understood me. About the loneliness we'd both felt, even surrounded by people. "I think that's why I married Ethan," I admitted on the second night, wrapped in blankets on the couch while Julian built up the fire. Because he was safe, predictable, the kind of love that didn't demand I risk everything. "And now," Julian settled beside me, pulling me against his chest, "now I'm here, with you, risking everything for something that could destroy me, or save you." His arms tightened. "What we have isn't safe, Ren. It'll never be safe. But it's real, raw, the kind of connection that changes you fundamentally." "I know." I turned to look at him. "I've felt more alive in these 3 weeks than I did in 5 years of marriage." "Then choose it. Choose us. Choose yourself." His hand found my face. "When we go back to the city, file for divorce. Move in with me. Let me show the world that you're mine." "It'll cause a scandal." "Let it. I don't care what they say as long as I have you." His eyes held mine. "Do you care?" I thought about it, really thought about the social consequences, the whispers, the judgment, about Ethan's hurt and my family's disappointment, and realized none of it mattered as much as the man holding me. "No," I said, "I don't care." Julian's smile was blinding. "Then we're doing this? Really doing this?" "We're doing this." He kissed me like I'd given him the world. Maybe I had. On the third night, Julian made dinner, or tried to. We ended up ordering pizza and eating it on the floor in front of the fire, talking about futures we'd never let ourselves imagine. "I want to travel," I admitted, "see places I've only read about, do things that scare me." "Then we will. Anywhere you want to go." Julian traced patterns on my palm. "I want to wake up next to you every morning, come home to you every night, build a life that's ours, not what anyone expects it to be." "What about your company, your reputation?" "My company will survive. And my reputation?" He shrugged. "I've been called ruthless my entire life. Might as well add hopelessly in love to the list." I laughed, the sound free and unguarded. "You're ridiculous." "I'm yours." He pulled me into his lap, arms wrapping around me. "Completely, utterly, inconveniently yours." "Good," I kissed him softly, "because I'm keeping you." "Promise?" "Promise." That night when Julian made love to me in front of the fire, it felt different. Not the desperate claiming of before, but something deeper, slower, like we had all the time in the world and intended to savor every second. "I love you," I whispered against his skin. The words finally easy to say. Julian's breath caught. "Say it again." "I love you." "Again." "I love you, Julian Vane. I love your ruthlessness and your gentleness. I love how you see me, how you make me feel brave enough to choose myself." I cupped his face. "I love you." His eyes were bright. I love you too, so much it terrifies me. Good, I echoed his earlier words. Fear means you understand how precious this is. Then I'm absolutely terrified, he admitted, because losing you would break me. You won't lose me. I'm not going anywhere. Promise? Promise. And I meant it. With everything I was, I meant it. Chapter 8. We drove back to the city on Monday morning, holding hands the entire way. Ready for this? Julian asked as we neared the city limits. No, but I'm doing it anyway. I squeezed his hand. I'm calling my lawyer today, filing the papers. And I'm announcing our relationship. No more hiding, no more being the dirty secret. The media will go insane. Let them. He brought my hand to his lips. You're worth it. My phone, which I'd turned back on an hour ago, immediately started buzzing. 37 missed calls from Ethan, 20 from my mother, 15 from colleagues, and one text from an unknown number. You might want to check the news. Dread pooled in my stomach. Julian. He'd already pulled over, pulling up a news site on his phone. The headline made my blood run cold. Vane Industries CEO caught in an affair with employee's husband. Scandal rocks tech world. Below it were photos of me leaving Julian's building, of us at the gala, of my car parked at his penthouse overnight. Someone had been watching, documenting, waiting. Ethan, I breathed. He must have... It doesn't matter who. Julian's voice was steel. What matters is what we do now. My phone rang. Ethan's name. I answered. What did you do? What I had to. Ethan's voice was cold. You wouldn't come back to me, wouldn't even try, so I made sure the whole world knows what kind of man Julian Vane is, the kind who steals married men, the kind who loves me? I interrupted. The kind who treats me like I matter? The kind who sees me as more than a trophy? The kind who will destroy your reputation along with mine? Ethan laughed, bitter. How long do you think his company will tolerate this scandal? How long before he drops you to save face? Ice filled my chest, because Ethan was right. Julian's board would demand he distance himself. His shareholders would insist he end this to protect the company. I'd seen it happen 100 times. Business always came first. I started. Julian took the phone from my hand. Ethan, this is Julian Vane, and I have something to say. My lawyers are drawing up a statement as we speak, announcing that Ren and I are in a committed relationship, that we're moving in together, that anyone who has a problem with it can take it up with me directly. His voice was ice and fire. You wanted to expose us? Thank you. You just saved me the trouble. Silence. Then, you're committing career suicide. No, I'm committing to the man I love. There's a difference. Julian looked at me, eyes soft despite the steel in his voice. And Ethan, you never deserved him. You took something precious and treated it like it was disposable. So watching you realize what you lost, that's going to be the sweetest revenge of all. He hung up, handed me back my phone. Julian, your company will survive. People will talk for a few weeks, and then they'll find new scandal to obsess over. He cupped my face. But you're irreplaceable. So if they force me to choose between my company and you, I choose you. Every single time. You can't mean that. I've never been more serious. His thumbs stroked my cheekbones. Ren, I've spent my entire life building an empire, and it's all meaningless if I don't have you to share it with. Your board will revolt. Then I'll find a new board, new shareholders. I'll burn it all down and build something new if I have to. His eyes burned into mine. But I won't give you up, won't pretend you don't matter, won't sacrifice you to save my reputation. Tears burned my eyes. Why? Because you're worth more than everything I've built, and I'm done pretending otherwise. He kissed me softly. So here's what's going to happen. We're going to drive to my office, we're going to walk in together holding hands, and we're going to show the entire world that I'm yours and you're mine. Julian, No more hiding, no more shame, just us, publicly, proudly. He smiled. Unless you're not ready, in which case we do this your way, at your pace. I looked at this man who was willing to risk everything for me, who'd just chosen me over his entire empire without hesitation, and knew there was only one answer. Let's go show them. His smile was incandescent. Walking into Julian Tower holding Julian's hand was the most terrifying thing I'd ever done. Every eye tracked us, every whisper followed us. By the time we reached Julian's floor, the entire building knew. His assistant gaped, his executives stared, his board members looked ready to stage a mutiny. Julian ignored all of them. He pulled me into his office, closed the door, and kissed me in front of the glass walls where everyone could see. "Let them watch," he murmured against my lips. "Let them know exactly who you belong to." "You're insane," I whispered, even as I kissed him back. "I'm in love. Same thing." He pulled back, grinning. "Now, let's go face the vultures." The board meeting was brutal. They demanded he end the relationship, insisted it was unprofessional, threatened to remove him as CEO if he didn't comply. Julian listened with perfect calm. Then he said, "No." "No?" The chairman looked apoplectic. "Mr. Vane, this scandal is giving us more press than any ad campaign ever could. Our stock is up 3 points since the news broke. Clearly, the market doesn't care who I'm sleeping with. Neither do I. Ren stays, the relationship stays. If that's a problem, feel free to try removing me. But I should warn you, I own 51% of this company, so good luck." The meeting ended 10 minutes later. They couldn't touch him, and Julian knew it. "That was incredibly reckless," I said when we were alone again. "That was incredibly worth it. Did you see their faces?" "I saw your face. You enjoyed that." "Immensely." He kissed my forehead. "They needed to know I'm serious about you, that this isn't some scandal to be managed. This is my life, our life." "Our life," I echoed, testing the words. They felt right. Chapter 9. For one perfect week, everything was golden. I moved into Julian's penthouse, filed for divorce, started working legitimately in Julian's office, as his strategic advisor, not his dirty secret. The media circus raged, but we ignored it, built our own world inside the chaos. Then the article dropped. Is Ren Nakamura just a pawn in Vane's corporate revenge? The piece was devastating. It laid out the timeline. Julian buying Ethan's debt within days of our first night together. Julian installing me in his office. Julian going public with our relationship right as Ethan's company was about to go under. The conclusion was clear. I'd been used, weaponized, a tool in Julian's corporate war. "It's not true," Julian said when I showed him the article. "Ren, you have to know." "Do I?" I looked at him, this man I'd given up everything for. "Because the timeline fits, the strategy makes sense, and you've never exactly hidden the fact that you enjoy destroying Ethan." "I enjoy being with you. That's different." "Is it?" I stepped back, needing space. "Or am I just telling myself that because the alternative that I was played from the beginning is too devastating to face?" "Ren, please." "I need time to think, to figure out if what I feel is real or just Stockholm Syndrome dressed up as love." Pain flashed across Julian's face. "You don't mean that." "Don't I?" I grabbed my coat. "You said it yourself, Julian. You're ruthless. You destroy people for a living. Why would I be any different?" "Because I love you. Or you love winning, and I was just the ultimate prize." "Where are you going?" "Away. I can't think when you're near me. Can't separate what's real from what's addiction." I looked back at him. "Give me 3 days, the same amount we had at the cabin. If this is real, it'll still be real in 3 days. And if I say no, then you prove the article right, that you can't stand to lose control, even of me." Julian's jaw tightened. 3 days. But Ren, I'm not giving up on us, on you. I'm not asking you to. I'm asking you to let me figure out if I should give up on you. Then I left. I spent the first day in a hotel, rereading every article, every piece of evidence that said I'd been used. The timeline was damning, the strategy was sound, and Julian had never denied loving the revenge aspect of us. But the article missed one thing: the way Julian looked at me, the way his voice softened, the way he'd risked everything to choose me. You can't fake that. Can you? On the second day, Ethan showed up. "I heard you left him," he said, standing in my hotel doorway looking haggard. "How did you find me?" "I always knew where you were. I just never paid enough attention." He smiled, sad and broken. "Can we talk?" Against my better judgment, I let him in. "I'm sorry," Ethan said simply, "for everything, for cheating, for taking you for granted, for trying to ruin you when you chose someone else. You wrote that article. I commissioned it, wanted to make you see what he was doing. But Ren," I looked at him with genuine regret, "I was wrong about Julian, about you, about everything. What changed?" I watched the press conference, the one where Julian defended you to his board, where he chose you over his company. Ethan shook his head. "I've known Julian Vane for 10 years. I've seen him eviscerate competitors without blinking, and I've never, not once, seen him look at anything the way he looks at you." My breath caught. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying the article was right about the timeline, right about the strategy, but wrong about what it means. Julian Vane is ruthless, but he's not cruel. And using you just for revenge? That would be cruel, to you and to himself. How do you know?" "Because I saw his face when you left. He looked like I felt when I lost you, absolutely destroyed." He smiled sadly. "That's not the face of a man who got what he wanted. That's the face of a man who just lost everything." I sat down heavily. I don't know what to believe anymore. "Then believe this. I loved you, Ren, but I loved the idea of you more than the reality, the perfect husband, the stable partner. I never looked deeper." Ethan knelt in front of me. "But Julian, he sees all of you, the messy parts, the hungry parts, the parts I was too scared to love. Why are you telling me this? Because you deserve to be happy, and despite everything, despite the revenge and the scandal and the absolute mess of it all, I think he makes you happy." Ethan stood. "So go back to him, figure it out together. Don't let my mistakes cost you something real. And you? I'll survive, eventually." He headed for the door, pausing at the threshold. "For what it's worth, I'm sorry I couldn't be what you needed, but I'm glad you found someone who is." Then he left, and I was alone with the truth. I'd been running again, not from Julian using me, but from how much I loved him despite everything. On the third day, I went back. Julian was in his office, staring at his computer without seeing it. He looked wrecked, his hair disheveled, shirt wrinkled, shadows under his eyes like he hadn't slept. He looked up when I walked in. The hope in his eyes nearly broke me. "Hi," I said. "Hi." His voice was rough. "Did you figure it out?" "I figured out that I'm an idiot." Julian stood slowly. "Explain." "You're ruthless and strategic, and yes, you probably enjoyed the revenge aspect of us." I moved closer. "But you're also the man who chose me over his company, who risked everything to claim me publicly, who looks at me like I'm the only thing that matters." "Ren, let me finish." I stopped in front of him. "The article was right about the timeline, right about the strategy, but wrong about what it means. Because even if this started as revenge, it became something else, became real." "It was always real," Julian said fiercely. "Maybe I bought the debt to get close to you. Maybe I installed you in my office to keep you near me. But Ren, I didn't plan on falling in love, didn't plan on you becoming the most important thing in my life." "How do I know you're not just saying what I want to hear?" "You don't," He cupped my face. You'll never know for certain, but I can promise you this. Every day for the rest of my life, I'll choose you. I'll prove that you're not a weapon or a pawn or a trophy. You're my partner, my equal, the person I want to build a life with. Tears slipped down my cheeks. I love you, even when it's scary, even when I don't know if I should. I love you. I love you too. He kissed me softly. And I'm sorry for every moment you doubted, for every second you felt used. I should have been clearer, should have... I silenced him with a kiss. Stop apologizing and take me home, I murmured against his lips. Julian's smile was brilliant. Anything you want, darling. Chapter 10, 6 months later. Ready? Julian asked, adjusting my tie with familiar intimacy. I looked at myself in the mirror. New suit, new office, new life. Today we were announcing the merger, Nakamura Tech and Vane Industries becoming Vane Nakamura International, equal partners, equal vision. Ethan had agreed to sell his remaining shares with the condition that some of the proceeds went to charity supporting LGBTQ+ youth, a final act of goodness from a man trying to atone. Ready? I confirmed. Julian pulled me close, kissing me with the easy affection of someone who knew I wasn't going anywhere. I'm proud of you, he murmured, of us, of what we've built. We built it together. Damn right we did, Julian grinned. Think we'll scandalize the board again today? Probably. You can't seem to keep your hands off me during meetings. Why would I? You're gorgeous when you're talking quarterly projections, he kissed my neck, and brilliant, and mine. I agreed, the word no longer a cage, but a promise. We walked into the conference room together. Cameras flashed, reporters shouted questions. The board looked vaguely uncomfortable with our obvious affection. We didn't care. Julian stood at the podium, me beside him, and announced the merger, announced our vision for the future, announced that Vane Nakamura International would be the first Fortune 500 company openly run by a married same-sex couple, because we'd gotten married last month. Small ceremony, just us and a few close friends. Nothing like the spectacle my first wedding had been. This was real, raw, exactly what we'd built together. After the conference, we returned to our shared office. Glass walls, connected desks, 2 chairs that we rarely used separately anymore. Mr. Nakamura Vane, Julian said, testing my new legal name. I like how that sounds. I do too. I pulled him into his chair, settling into his lap like I'd done 100 times before. Though technically, I'm Mr. Nakamura Vane. We're still fighting about that? Forever. I like winning. So do I. He kissed me, slow and deep. Good thing we're on the same team now. The best team. Julian's phone buzzed. He glanced at it and laughed. What? Article just dropped, From Corporate Enemies to Power Couple, the Julian Vane and Ren Nakamura love story. I groaned. They're still writing about us? They'll always write about us. We're too good a story. He set his phone aside, focusing entirely on me. But you know what the best part is? What? They think you were a pawn, a weapon I used for revenge. His eyes held mine. But the truth is so much better. What's the truth? Julian smiled, soft and genuine. You weren't a weapon I used against him. You were the prize I've been waiting for my whole life, the person who made me realize that winning isn't about destroying enemies, it's about building something worth keeping. My breath caught. That's really romantic for someone who claims to be ruthless. I'm ruthless in protecting what's mine, and darling, he pulled me closer, you're mine, forever. Forever, I echoed, kissing him with everything I felt. The city sprawled below us. The empire we'd built together rose around us. The future stretched before us, unknown but full of possibility. And I realized the article had been right about one thing. This had started as revenge, but it had become so much more. It had become love, real, complicated, all-consuming love. The kind that changes you, saves you, makes you braver than you ever thought possible. I'd walked into Julian Vane's penthouse broken and desperate, and I'd found home. Not in a place, but in the man who looked at me like I was everything. The man who'd become my addiction, my obsession, my salvation. The man I'd chosen every single day for the rest of my life. "I love you," I whispered against Julian's lips. "I love you too, now and always." And in that moment, surrounded by the empire we'd built together and the love we'd fought for, I'd never been more certain of anything. This was exactly where I belonged. The end.